welcome. If this is our first time meeting, hi, my name is Rebecca. I am 26 years old and I live in North Carolina. This channel is really just a space for me to document my life and talk about all of my favorite things, one of which is reading, if that was not obvious from the shelves behind me. Fun fact, I have actually read every day of 2026 so far, not counting today. That makes it a 34-day reading streak, which is really close to beating my longest streak in 2025. So that said, I thought filming a realistic what I read in a week would help me to continue that streak. And when I talk about streak, sorry, the way I'm tracking that is on Fable. It is a really fun book app, and yeah, my longest streak, let me see. The longest reading streak in 2025 was 40 days. So yeah, if we can make it through this realistic what I read in a week video together, we will surpass my longest reading streak of 2025. And when I say realistic, I really do mean realistic. I work full time. I am training a puppy that we welcomed into our home a month ago. I'm getting my MBA online, and I'm also just, you know, a normal 20-something-year-old girl trying to balance having a social life and exercising and all the things. So it will be very realistic, okay? That said, I feel like I need to tell you about the book that I am currently reading. I'm a member of a local book club. It's actually a Swiftie book club, which is very fun. Anyway, I digress. And the book club pick of the month was 7 Days in June. This book is about two writers. They reunite at a writing event in New York. However, nobody else at the event knows that these two know each other and have a history. I think it said it was 15 years ago when they were teenagers. They had met and they were madly in love, and they have been writing to each other through their books ever since. I have just gotten to the point where they met at this writing event in New York, and then we are going to follow their lives for the next 7 days as they reconnect. I am, let's confirm, 25% through the book. I wouldn't say that this has fully captivated me so far. The beginning has been a bit slow. However, I think now that we have experienced them reuniting at this event, I'm really excited to learn more about their history and figure out what happened, because I know what Ava's been up to. I will probably catch up with you guys sometime in the next day or two. I don't know. Right now I'm gonna go downstairs and have my sweet treat, okay? It is just about 8:30 on Friday night. Apologies if you hear some barking in the background. It is indeed Mocha's witching hour, so you may hear a little bit of tension going on downstairs. But I figured we were due for a reading update. I am 47% into 7 Days in June, and I don't really have too many new thoughts. I still wouldn't say this book has me fully captivated. We just had a little bit of, so I don't think I mentioned in my last update, but our female main character, Ava, or Eva, I feel like it's Eva, does have a daughter. I believe she is 12, and I think it was in part of what I read yesterday. We got some of her daughter's perspective, and it's just kind of interesting because I feel like in some ways the author is trying to make sure the daughter comes off pretty young and naive because she is 12, but then other times she speaks very maturely, but then she also talks in a way that feels a little bit more babyish than I would imagine a 12-year-old would. And I don't know, her character is like kind of throwing me off a little bit, just because it just feels a little bit awkward. So we've learned a little bit more about them, and we have a little bit of a predicament in terms of what the future may look like. We'll see how that plays out, but yeah, all in all, I was kind of hoping, I was expecting to fly through this pretty fast because it is relatively short. It's less than 400 pages. I think it's maybe around 360, but like I said, it just hasn't like fully grasped me. Like, I'm not really itching to pick it up per se. I don't know where this is gonna land. But yeah, 47% into it. I will probably shower and do my skincare and get all cozy before I properly sit down and read for the evening. Slowly making my way through it, slower than I anticipated, but you know, that's how it is, and it's nice to slow down every once in a while. You can't fly through every single book. So that is the update. Long time no chat. It is about 8:45 on Tuesday evening. I'm just gonna go ahead and apologize for how scary I look in this moment. It's just the reality of, you know, I work from home, I don't wear makeup, and then I went for a run after work and I've not yet showered, so I'm looking and feeling a little grody, but we are overdue for a reading update. I finally finished 7 Days in June yesterday. I was just really close to the end, so I was trying my best to just power through and finish it up because I didn't want to stop and have like 15 pages left for today. So I finally finished yesterday, and I have complicated feelings about it. I think I landed on 3.5 stars overall. It is good and I did enjoy it, but there were just some things about it that just, I don't know. I felt like it never fully clicked for me. Like, I was never utterly engrossed in the story, and there was never a moment where I was like dying to pick up the book and see what happens next, if that makes sense. But I mean, it had all of the elements of a wonderful story, you know, tragic past and some quirky characters, and they were flirty and sweet, but there was something about, so let me double check the back. This is not a spoiler, this is directly from the back. But our two main characters spent one crazy torrid week madly in love and have been secretly writing to each other in the books ever since, which is a really, I love that concept. But something like when we were going back in time to their teenage past, that was just not giving romance to me. I was honestly surprised that this book did not have any trigger warnings in the beginning, because it was overall just a bit more dark than I was anticipating. But I think not really feeling romance or love during their first week, and maybe this was intended by the author, so you know, take this with a grain of salt, but I think that just made my overall, you know, investment in them as adults a bit weaker. And there's also a lot of pop culture references to the point where it felt like a little overdone to me, and there were also some moments of just excessive detail that I don't think were necessarily adding to a scene per se. It felt a little like word vomity at times, which is a little odd to say because it's a fairly short book. But yeah, there were just some parts of it that I didn't really love, even though I felt like it had all the right things. I don't know. This could also just be like not the right time, you know. Sometimes like sports romances are a good example. There are some sports romances on here that I rated probably much higher than they probably needed to be on Goodreads and Fable, but it was just because I was really feeling them in the moment, you know. It was like right book, right time. So, you know, maybe this was right book, wrong time. But yeah, still a good book, just not a personal favorite. But I'm excited to chat with my book club about it next weekend, or this upcoming weekend. Now that I have wrapped up that book club book, my next read that I'm going to start this evening is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I am reading this book with my long distance besties. We also have a little book club on Fable, and I love having my book club with them on there because we can share all of our thoughts from each individual chapter, and it just makes chatting about it a little bit easier than say like a text group chat, because you know you want to avoid spoilers. So we have a little book club on there, and this month's read is First Time Caller. I have friends who have absolutely raved about this book and love it, and there's a second book coming out I believe in early March, and I'm just really intrigued. I read this author's most recent holiday romance in December, Good Spirits, and I enjoyed that, but it wasn't like a crazy, like, that was also probably like a 3-ish star read for me. However, I love that her books are set in Maryland. So this one's set in Baltimore, which is cool because if you're new around here, I am originally from Maryland and went to school right outside of Baltimore in Towson. So it's always fun reading a book that's like a setting that's familiar to you. So I am excited to start this. Not sure how much I'm gonna read. Like I said, it's probably about 9 o'clock now because I've been yapping. This is gonna be a fun one. And just like that, we are back in front of the bookshelves. It has officially been 1 week since we first sat down to chat. It is 8:15 on a Wednesday evening, and I have to say I'm a little bummed. I did not read as much as I thought I was going to this past week. Unfortunately, school just had to take priority. I have a midterm that I'm very nervous for, that I have been doing a lot of studying and prep for. That said, let's get into the grand total. This week, I read a whopping 257 pages. I read 27 on Wednesday, the first day that we got to chat. I read 46 on Thursday, 42 on Friday, 18 on Saturday, 33 on Sunday, 69 on Monday, and then 22 yesterday. I feel like when I first started the video, I was like, okay, I need to like get a lot of reading in. And then I quickly realized that like I said, needed to prioritize school. I don't remember how many, I've done a video like this once before, and I don't recall how many I read, but I want to say it was close to 500 within a week. So yeah, 257. Let me know if you feel like that's on par with how much you read a week, or if it's a lot less, a lot higher. I'm very curious. I am happy to report that even though I only got 22 pages into this book, I am thoroughly enjoying it. I can just already tell it's going to be a good time and a little funny and lighthearted. I don't think I actually spoke about what this book entailed. So our female main character, Lucy, is a single mom, and her daughter calls into a romance hotline radio show to seek romance advice for her mom. And I love this little back part. So it says, everyone wants Lucy to find her happy ending, even the handsome, temperamental man calling the shots. But when the sparks start to fly behind the scenes, Lucy must make the final decision between the radio-sponsored happily ever after or the man in the headphones next to her. So like I said, I only got 22 pages into it. I think all that really happened was we found out our male main character, Aiden, is struggling and is not very happy with his job and life. He's just kind of given up on love. And then we got to witness Lucy's daughter calling into the radio show. I think this is gonna be fun. And one of my friends is absolutely blowing up our Fable book club chat room, so I'm very excited to catch up with where she's at and see all of her thoughts and notes and things like that. But that is all I have for this video. Thank you so much for spending time with me and reading with me. I hope that you enjoyed it, and who knows, maybe we'll do more book videos like this in the future. But in the meantime, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.